I will do my best to stay on track. I was telling a couple of gals, I don't even know why I write a script, because I start down one path and then my brain thinks of something else. So we'll just go the way I'm led. I enjoyed writing about Abigail. And if you are familiar with her story in 1 Samuel 25, you will remember that she averted her husband's bad temper and poor manners. And she intervened on his behalf and on her household's behalf to serve David, who was the future king of Israel at that time, and his army, as well as her own household. And because of her quick response, there was no revenge or bloodshed. There are many descriptive words that I can think of that describe Abigail. And from her story, I gathered that she was courageous, she was resourceful, she was God-fearing and faithful, reverent and discerning, loyal, humble, intelligent, capable, a peacemaker, a generous servant, and cool-headed and quick to act in crisis. Just like all of us, right? We have all had to fill those characteristics at some point in our lives, I'm sure. But of all of her qualities, the one that most intrigues me is her generous hospitality in the time of unprecedented crisis. In verses 18 to 19, the feast that she prepared is described in detail. So let's read that together from our flyer, from the brochure. It's on the front of the brochure. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep already dressed, 5 seahs of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them onto donkeys. And she said to her servants, "Go on before me. See, I am coming after you." This was no small feat. I get exhausted just reading the list of all the food that she prepared to serve David and his men. She prepared what she had on hand, and her husband's wealth did allow her to serve generously. However, I do believe that our loving Heavenly Father finds such joy when we serve with a pure heart with whatever we have. So those of you who know me know that I do like to dissect foods down to their nutrient values to discover what health benefits they have. In Abigail's day, the foods were simple, they were homegrown mostly, and they were valued, not like our throwaway and wasteful economy we have today. She did not know the science behind all the foods that she served like we know, but what she offered were cultural traditions, and the Hebrew laws gave her insight and wisdom in preparing a meal fit for a king. So let's look at those bookmark. The foods that are listed on the bookmark. And you'll notice a mix of carbohydrate, protein, and fat food sources that provided energy and sustenance. The meat from the sheep provided protein and some fat. The bread and fig cakes provided vitamins, minerals, fiber, and carbohydrates for energy. And the raisins, in addition to the points that are listed on the bookmark, also gave cognitive improvement, which is a pretty good thing for a soldier. And another handout that I would like to share with you is a list of illustrations and the foods that they represent, and a little tidbit about the body parts that they improve or heal or treat. Now, this is known as a doctrine of signatures, which means that it's from the beginning of time, people have believed that God gave us foods for certain purposes. And if you look at the pictures on this, you'll recognize the reason you were probably taught as a child Why do you eat carrots? To help your eyes. Is that it? I've got one. Thank you. So this doctrine of signatures is not always accepted in our medical and science world. This was widely used in the 16th and 17th centuries, and the ancient cultures relied heavily on this. It was their medicine of the time. Ancient Chinese medicine refers to this. The Native American tribes have used this, and even the early Hebrew tribes have relied on this. But I guess I am thankful that we have scientific and medical research. I wouldn't have wanted to have been that person if someone came and said, here, eat this and see what happens. So I do appreciate the science that we are seeing today that helps us understand our foods a lot better. But if you do look up a walnut, do research on a walnut, you will find that it is healthy for the brain. And although Abigail's feast does not mention olives, I have recently done a study on olives, and the information is almost overwhelming. One of the topics in the wellness world today is about healthy fats. You've heard about that. So we're going from being somewhat confused to more confused to a little more clarity. But a medical team that I follow teaches the importance of having a healthy blood ratio of omega-6 and omega-3 fats. And the American diet is very high in omega-6 fats, which contributes to inflammation and a host of other disorders. So I was doing a study on olives, and you can find the same study on healthline.com. And there's a lot of information on olives, the benefits that they have. We know for heart health, for brain health, and now they're doing studies for cancer and bone health. So here's a very simple food that's very plentiful in the land of Israel and the Middle East, and a big part of their diet, and the Mediterranean diet is one of the healthiest diets going, has been since the beginning of time. So we can learn a lot from going back to God's foods, natural foods. So I encourage you to just have some fun with looking foods up, researching and seeing what's available. Because when I first started in holistic health, there was nothing. We started in the dark ages with nutrient values in food. So it makes it much more easily accessible today with all the information that's out there. When I wrote this article for the Shine magazine, I wondered how Abigail might offer her hospitality in today's world. And months later, one completely unexpected, unprepared, unrehearsed moment, God showed me, and thankfully, I didn't have to prevent a potential battle to follow his plan. Recently, I escorted an elderly friend, 90 years young, to her hair appointment. And while I was waiting for my friend to be served by her stylist, I settled in to write my next magazine article. And I noticed that there was another older woman sitting with a younger woman. But wanting to work on my own magazine, I kind of tuned everybody out that was in the seating area. But then I felt this inner prompting to ask the young woman if she was a caregiver. But my inner nonchalance took over, and I continued writing, or trying to write. Again, the inner prompting nudged me. I got up to go to the restroom. I fixed me a cup of tea. I went back to the sitting area and settled in to write. But the voice would not leave me alone, and I couldn't ignore it any longer. So since that day was a cold and windy day, and I always carry my own tea bags anywhere I go, I offered the young woman a tea bag. So while she prepared her cup of tea, I asked her the obvious question. "Are you the woman's caregiver?" "Yes," she replied. And our conversation began. We talked about family, work, life, dreams, personal history, and many more things. I learned that she was from Ethiopia and had been in the United States for about 20 years. We sipped tea and talked, and thoughtfully, if not kind of, I felt forced to pack that Shine magazine in my bag. I hurried and checked the places the Shine magazine had traveled, and I was delighted to see that Shine had been to Ethiopia. So I shared this with her and gifted her the magazine, and she was delighted. And through this impromptu exchange, a line from my Abigail article leapt off the page into my mind. I had written this in my article months before. I have often failed to recognize a God-ordained opportunity, even when it faced me directly. I prayed that I would be filled with a supernatural sensitivity to the Holy Spirit to be a modern-day Abigail. I kind of got slapped. God had my attention. Our Father presents us with opportunities, or perhaps assignments, to serve Him through serving others. And that's exactly what Abigail did. Who would have thought that a chance meeting in a hair salon, sharing a cup of tea in a Shine magazine would be my moment? Had I listened to my inner voice, I would have missed it. Another thought about God's women from the Bible has occupied my mind since that Shine magazine was published. I have read the stories of these biblical women my entire life, but I never really gave thought about the legacy they've given us for our lives today. Through these Bible studies, we've gained a deeper insight into these biblical women, from Dawn, who shared the story of Ruth, and Sarah, who opened a new insight into Abraham's Sarah, and Lisa gave a more intimate look into Priscilla's life, and Pastor Gala shared the Queen of Sheba. And I'm so sorry I missed that lesson. But as I listen to and read other stories about the wisdom these women have given us, all these thousands of years later, I have to stop and just praise God. And these women, they just went about their typical day, doing what they normally did, most likely not giving a thought that someday there would be a group of women sitting in a Bible study in 2025, studying and learning from their life stories. The title of Vicki Durrell's Shine article is Using Your Gifts to Leave a Legacy. And that is exactly what Abigail did. She used her courage, her resourcefulness, her God-fearing faith, her reverence, her discernment, her generosity, and her servant's heart to prepare and serve a feast and to save her household. Ruth and Sarah, Priscilla, and the Queen of Sheba likewise, they used their God-given talents and gifts, living their daily lives without thought of how their examples might inspire and influence us today. I love the idea of living and leaving a legacy, and that might look different to each of us. But I do believe that our loving Heavenly Father wants us to do what we do in our current time on this earth and have far-reaching benefits and influence on our future generations. Last year, the idea of legacy spent a lot of time tumbling around in my brain. I love the stories of life, and I love even more celebrating those stories of life. My personal ancestry is filled with simple women. Most of them were farmers' wives. These women had no clue of women's lib, but I watched those women do the work of 2 or 3 women plus a man, and those women could pray a blue streak. My legacy idea wanted to remember and honor those hardworking, God-loving, family-first women that have gone before me. After my mother passed away, I inherited a box of stuff. Crocheted doilies, simple tablecloths, embroidered linens, lace collars, and more. Then the idea of a legacy jacket appeared. I gathered my box of stuff and consulted with a very creative designer to bring my story to life. So when I wear this piece, I feel hugged by my grandmother, my mother, lots of aunts, my great-grandmothers, and I hope that when I pass it on to my daughters, they will feel that their history is alive. They will feel a connection to their past. I may never serve a feast like the one Abigail served, but I must tell you that sharing a simple cup of tea in a Shine magazine on a cold and windy day filled my servant's heart. And every time we serve in our giftedness, I believe we strengthen our connection to those early women. I'm so blessed to be in the midst of a beautiful group of hospitality servers, whether you sew blankets, you serve a tea party ministry, you edit and publish a magazine, or you prepare meals for those who can't, or you lead a prayer group. You are displaying the hospitality and nourishment at its greatest, and your Heavenly Father is pleased. I am going to add just a quick note based on what Pastor Gayla said earlier about her cookies. I have heard the expression many, many, many times, usually going into every holiday season, the end of the year. This is the worst time to try and be healthy. This is the worst time to diet. So my inner nutrition geek thought, okay, how many Hallmark holiday days do we actually have that we eat Easter cookies or Christmas specials? So I got my calendar out and I counted up, and I even added, everybody's got a birthday, maybe a family reunion, an anniversary. I added a few extra days. I think I came up with maybe 42 dates. I'm thinking, okay, there's 365 days in the year. Why do we worry about 42 days? But let's be mindful. Let's be wise the rest of the year. Let's eat from God's garden. Let's eat the foods that look like the inner eye, or look like the brain, and look like the blood vessels. Let's eat the foods that our Creator provided for us, so we have the energy, we have the health, we have that healthy blood ratio. We don't have to worry about man-made foods. In all my studies, I have not seen a refined or processed food that looks like a body part that it might heal or treat. So the next time you're out shopping, when you go down the boxed aisle, check and see what looks like a brain, what looks like a heart, what looks like a liver, what looks like blood vessels. But when you go into God's garden, He's given us those answers. So enjoy the cookies, enjoy the chocolate, but you just can't do it 365 days out of the year. Do any of you have any questions, any thoughts, any experiences you would like to share? Well, again, I think God in His wisdom and all the different foods that He created, some foods are harvested in the spring, the summer, fall, not so much in the winter. God gave each and every food a personality. And as we go into spring, the springtime foods are very cleansing, very detoxing, very high in minerals, which we did not eat a lot of in the winter. We ate heavier meals that were higher in protein and fat, and that's what we need in the winter. So now, just like spring, we have windy days, blowing the residue of winter away. We have spring showers, and sometimes I had snow in my yard this morning. We just have evidence that God is cleaning out winter, getting ready for a new season. And we start to see the daffodils and the flowers and the hyacinths and the blossoms on the tree. And if we pay attention to God's seasons and the foods that he has created for those seasons and use that in our dietary choices, your body will be so happy. Because summer foods are very cooling. They're high in water. Watermelon, cucumbers are very high in water and hydration, which our bodies need in hotter climates and hotter temperatures. So if we ate a bowl of chili on a 100-degree day, we're going to really stress our body. Our entire digestive system, our circulation is going to work harder to cool that body down, because just the act of digestion is a heat-producing activity in your body. So we want to have cooler foods that are cooling to the body to support that system. You're not going to run your heater when it's 100 degrees outside, and you're not going to run your air conditioner in your house when it's 30 degrees outside. So being mindful of how God created our bodies and being mindful of the foods that he produced or created for those seasons, it just makes your body a lot happier. I will be around for questions and to answer questions about my book. I do cover, Sarah touched on it, I do cover each season in the book. And actually, according to traditional Chinese medicine, there is a 5th season. So if that piques your curiosity, check that out and see what foods help us transition from summer into fall, because those are major dietary shifts if we're following God's plan. Meat is included. I'm not a vegetarian. I grew up growing our own beef, our own chickens. As my body accumulates age, I don't feel like it needs as much meat as it did when I was younger. However, protein is very important for aging bodies, because muscle mass is what keeps us younger and healthier. So I'm not against eating meat. Use your inner wisdom. Just use your inner wisdom. I am very cautious about where I purchase my meat, because it's a scary story. Of course, I think feedlots started in Texas. I'm not proud of that, but that's the worst way for beef to be processed, because that's when they fill the beef full of garbage. So I would encourage you, if it's possible, and I'm not talking a large quantity, but the quality is very important. Spend a little bit of extra to get a high quality beef. You don't have, or chicken, whatever, pork. You don't have to eat a lot to get the nutrition that you need. Asian salads are great with thin slices of beef or chicken. You don't have to eat the 30, what is the Big Texan, 32 ounce or 84 ounce steak. You don't have to do that. Be cautious of the quality, because in this day and age, there's just a lot of junk that goes into our foods. I do my very best to find it, yes. And you can taste the difference when you cook it. When you cook it, you can smell the difference. If you have grass-fed and, if possible, a grass-finished beef, you can tell the difference when you cook it. The cheap stuff from the markets, it smells horrible. I don't know how many of you remember Carrie Newsom. She has her little homesteading farm, and she raised a couple of beef, and she was selling the beef, and she is so cognitive of the health of meat that when she took her beef to the market, she had the beef just kind of graze around for a day or two, so that the stress hormones, the stress of being that beef in a trailer, being transported to the processing plant, stirred up hormones, stress hormones in the beef. So she wanted that beef to be more relaxed before they butchered it. Widespread butchering is not going to go through that process. So, and her prices were very, very excellent. So there are sources, and go to the Colorado farmers markets. There are local growers that do the same thing, and you'll be much happier. Your body will be happy, because it's just difficult for the body to digest beef, and mostly beef protein is harder to digest, and especially if you eat it later in the day, it's hard on your system to just go through that entire process and digest thoroughly. Not so much. Every now, well, and I'm a seasonal coffee drinker. I like Kahlua in my coffee. So it's kind of a holiday drink. So the first snow we get at the end of the year, I like just a little bit of coffee and just a little bit of Kahlua. And by January, February, like that season's done. I don't think I did that at all this year. So my body is changing. My body is different from when it was 50, when it was 40, when it was 30. I think it's very important for us to know we can't be a one-size-fits-all our entire life. And to honor that, it's not a bad thing. It's just how we are evolving through our aging. So be gentle, be kind. I did find a phenomenal, smooth, very smooth coffee up in a town called Bailey. There's my husband loves it. It's a Greasy Spoon breakfast spot. And we went a couple of weekends ago, and they have Sasquatch Outpost. And, of course, he went for the donut holes, and I went for the coffee. Some of the best coffee I've had. So once in a blue moon, if I get a headache, coffee, a cup of black coffee is my remedy. Oh, tea, sorry. There are a lot of benefits of drinking teas, and of course your green teas are no or low in caffeine. They're soothing to the system. A lot of teas help with digestion. Your peppermint, your chamomile teas, your herbal teas, some of the flower teas. A lot of the Asian countries, drinking a cup of hot tea after a meal that's just a ritual. They know the benefits. I like a variety of teas. If I'm going to drink a black tea, I'll do it earlier in the morning, even though the caffeine is still less than coffee. It's just soothing. It's just soothing to the soul, especially if you have a piece of chocolate, a cup of tea. It's just a nice little way to end the day or a stressful situation. So many, many benefits. I have done some, but I don't like the taste of that one so much. But there are, where's my tea friend? Angelica has the most beautiful tea party ministry, and she knows everything about teas and where to order and where to get the best teas. I've learned that if you buy teas in bulk, the loose leaf tea is a lot healthier than the bagged teas. However, having that tea bag with me in that hair salon that day was a blessing. So when you travel, use your wisdom. I don't drink Lipton. I try to stay away from the big brands. There are smaller companies, and Amazon has a lot of choices of smaller companies that have it more pure. The tea leaves can be pesticided and toxic, so just watch on that. What herbs or what is good, what natural things are good for preventive? Keeping our immune system strong, keeping our immune system balanced, that should be one of those 365 days of the year projects. A strong body will not get sick. It repels the virus or the bacteria or whatever comes its way. So eating healthy foods that the body recognizes, taking advantage of the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients, the fiber, the polyphenols, the antioxidants, and I mean, God loaded a lot of antioxidants into his food choices. So if we do that on a regular basis, then if you feel that little tickle in your throat or you feel a little achy and you know something's coming, then you high dose with your vitamin C, your vitamin D, get a formula that has some echinacea, or the Chinese herbs are very good, ashwagandha, and some of the ones that really help fight off. And dose, double dose, triple dose, if you need to, while you're going through that to give your body a boost. I've given lots of different handouts to the classes that I've taught, because I use a product that's it's a silver product. It's a smaller dosage. It's a smaller component than colloidal silver, but it'll kill virus. And a lot of things that you get over the counter are not going to affect the virus. Essential oils are fabulous. You know, the essential oils can attack a virus where an over-the-counter is just not going to be effective on a virus. So again, the essential oils come from plants, come from the leaves, the flowers, the blooms, the bark. These are God-created things that we have at our disposal. And my medicine cabinet it looks like my pantry almost. So there are a lot of simple things, but the key is to keep that immune system healthy those 365 days minus the 41 days that we're going to just eat whatever. I call those my no explanation days. It's a family reunion. It's a tailgating party. It's whatever. This is what I'm going to eat. So those other days, that gives us an opportunity to build that foundation of wholeness and strength and wellness. And then when you do get sick, sometimes it's not very severe because your body it's already ready. Your inner warriors are geared up and ready to go. The olive oil, coconut oil, stay away from the seed oils. Those, and I think you're hearing all that if you look at Healthy Fast. Then now they're saying stay away from the seed oils. Flaxseed oil is not necessarily a cooking oil, but it is a healthy oil to consume. But I know olive oil doesn't always, it may not give the flavor. If I'm cooking stir fry, I'll use coconut oil. If I'm using doing my eggs, or just a very little, just very lightly coat my skillet. But now they're saying after all the sesame oil and the sunflower seed oil, those contribute to those unhealthy omegas in our body. It's honey in the rock. I think it's awesome. And scripture says, you do a search, again, try to find local honey. There are some fabulous growers in Larkspur, I think north. Read the label. If it's a Colorado honey and it's the unfiltered honey, it's a great thing. But too much honey will have the same effect internally and chemically in your body as a sweetener. So use it lightly. When I drink my teas, I don't put any kind of sweetener. I just enjoy the flavor of that tea. But I through the winter, one of my immune boosting habits, I drink a large mug of hot lemon juice with honey every morning. And I juice my lemons, peeling, seeds, everything, because it's that white, pithy part of the lemon and the grapefruit that has the health benefits. So I juice everything, pour the juice into ice cube trays, freeze it, and then I have 365 ice cubes of lemon juice, and I just drop one of those in my mug, fill it with hot water, a teaspoon of honey, and that's my winter morning drink. And even though lemon is an acidic fruit, it has an alkalizing benefit internally. It's a lot like apple cider vinegar. It's very acidic outside, but internally it has an alkalinic activity which helps to balance our bodies because the American diet is highly acidic. I think you can. I have a Vitamix, but I think if you have a blender, if your blender can blend up ice cubes, it can surely cut it into small cube, dice it up, and then put it in your blender with some purified water, and then you pour them. It's very soothing when it's cold and snowy outside. That hot lemon juice feels great on a sore throat. I use the whole lemon. I've scrubbed the peeling with my Dawn detergent with any residue or grease or oils from people's hands handling it. Wash it very well and then cut it into cubes. Throw it in your blender with some purified water and blend it up. Freeze it. You're good to go. I prefer my lemon juice. Apple cider vinegar is a little tart. My mother drank it. It is, weight loss will happen easily when we eat the majority of our foods like this. But if we have to open a package or we have to open a box or open a bag, then we're getting a lot of empty calories that our body's going to store as fat. My mother drank apple cider vinegar religiously, and she drank a teaspoon of baking soda 3 or 4 times a week in water. And it's Well, again, you think the baking soda, that's kind of what Alka-Seltzer is. And it just neutralizes, if you have too much stomach acid or you just have upset stomach, the baking soda, it doesn't take very much. But stir it up, and then she would drink that. And now I don't think the women knew so much. They might have known back then, they might have known 1 or 2 little cures. But now the science is opening up. If you search, why should I drink a teaspoon of baking soda or baking soda water, you're going to have pages of information. Because the science is finally looking at those wise women of yesteryear. They knew what to do, even if they didn't know why. It was handed down. So a lot of those kitchen remedies are coming back into our kitchens, which is kind of a good thing. Ladies, this has been so much fun. Oh. You mean if you can find them? If you have a friend or a neighbor or someone who can get you farm fresh eggs, I would stock up. My dad's younger sister is still living, and she will crack eggs into a container and freeze them. Of course, then you have to use them scrambled. Of course, she uses them to make egg noodles, the old German family recipes. Eggs are, in my opinion, one of the most complete foods. If you eat the white and the yolk and everything, it's one of the most complete foods that there is. And manufactured foods and ideas tend to lead us to believe egg yolks are high in cholesterol. So then they take the yolk out and you can just get the whites. When we dissect God's foods, then we start messing with his beautiful plan. If you can find at the grocery store, I try and find free range or pasture raised, and it's becoming a more popular idea, but it's not always easy to find. So keep hunting, find your friends and neighbors that have chickens in their backyards, see if you can buy some eggs from them. But eggs, I think, are an excellent an excellent feed. I grew up on fresh eggs, and we ate raw eggs, and we'd throw a raw egg in our milkshake, and we never thought about the problems. But when you have chickens, thousands of chickens in a small contained space, you're going to have problems. The chickens will be diseased, but chickens running around eating grasshoppers and worms, they'll be healthy eggs. I would love it if we did not have to supplement, but in the world we live in today, you almost have to. And Joan asked about if we eat healthy foods, do we need the prebiotics, the probiotics, the postbiotics? If you tend to have some digestive distress, I would say yes. And there again, check the labels, check the brand, check the ingredients, check the sources. I don't take one every day, and I have a friend who's super healthy, and she does. So ask your inner voice. What do I need? I just don't like to swallow a lot of capsules, and I'm trying to get away from that, take more liquid supplements. But our body needs that healthy bacteria. And the way most foods are grown today, we're not getting it. That's just the reality we live in. So again, you were asking to help boost your immune system. If you feel like, I think I'm getting something, most illnesses start in our gut. And that would be a great thing to add to your immune support supplies, a good probiotic. Well, along with your, if you're a pretty healthy person, I would say the probiotic, because a lot of foods act as a prebiotic, but the probiotic will definitely help repopulate your gut with a healthy bacteria, especially if you've got something going on, you might be a little deficient in the healthy bacteria, so you might need a little bit of help. But yes, I don't take any more than I just have to. But sometimes it's like, okay, I feel something coming on, then I kind of load up maybe for a month or 2 or 3. I have the charcoal capsules. I have a bottle. Well, again, I have a bottle in my emergency supply. I've never taken one. But if my granddaughters are over and they swallow something they shouldn't swallow, it's like I would like to have it on hand. But if you have toxicity that you've ingested, the charcoal will absorb that and remove it from your body. So, but as an everyday thing, it's not on my list. Somebody else had another. About what? If you get a good quality yogurt and you're eating that in your daily diet, that's awesome. If you feel like you're starting to come down with something, then you might need to supplement. And sometimes I've put a probiotic capsule, opened it up and put it in my yogurt just to enhance that. My body doesn't particularly like dairy, so I have to be very careful. So I would do the probiotic instead of trying to eat a dairy formulated yogurt. But if you eat a good quality yogurt, yeah, you're getting some good bacteria. Whatever purified water. I have a zero water filter that I use at home, and I just use that. But if you have whatever kind of water filter, because I've heard numerous wellness experts say if we don't filter our water, then our body is going to be the filter. So as much as I can control that, I try to. When I can't, I just pray about it. Like, Lord. Well, when we went to Israel and I heard all these things about drinking water, and I thought, Lord, you got me here. You're going to get me home without any problem. And when we were in the Garden of Gethsemane, they had that public water faucet. Everybody lined up. And all right, Lord, I hope that's holy water in there because I'm filling my bottle with it. I'm going to drink it. You can't make yourself crazy. And I think that's a lot of what even the experts, and I'm super excited about the science. I'm super excited about the knowledge we've gained, but knowledge isn't wisdom. And we know where wisdom comes from. So ask God, what do you want me to do in this situation? How do you want me to be my best? Because we all have a task, an assignment, an anointing, and we're going to be energetic and healthy for that.